There's a lot of things that make Montana great, from the mountains and lakes to some of the finest towns in the West. But what really makes this place special is you. Our communities are full of people who are working hard to build good lives and remarkable things. At Opportunity Bank, our passion is helping folks do just that. Together, we can make a good thing even better. Opportunity Bank of Montana. Stop by and see us or visit us online. Member FDIC.
Join Town Pump's Pump It Up Rewards Plus program and never pay full price for fuel again.
Save 5 cents on every gallon every day at any Town Pump across Montana.
Plus, earn and redeem points on your favorite in-store items to get free stuff with our clubs.
Stop in and pick up a rewards card. Download the Pump It Up Rewards Plus app today.
Or visit townpump.com/rewards to register and start saving.
Town Pump. Right down the road. Pump it up. Oh, yeah.
Well, good to see everybody again. It was great for us to have a bye week last week and heal up. Allow the guys to get home in a lot of cases on Thursday, but to get away and then get back to work Friday, Saturday, then today, and feel like guys are have had a bunch of good practices they've stacked up, and you're ready for this opportunity. And what you want at the beginning of the year is to be playing in December, and we have that opportunity in front of us. Obviously, the tradition that North Dakota State brings here, is without saying. And so many of these guys have been a part of this run. 30 plus seniors just in the two deep, and obviously they've played real well as of late, and it'll be a big opportunity for us. A lot of our guys have been on those fields in 21 and 19 in particular, when that ended our season, and really looking forward to this opportunity. And I think for us, closing out the season with the loss and the way we played, it was good to have the week off and reset and move forward. We're gonna need to play real well come this Saturday against a really good team, and that's what we aim to do. So with that, I'll open up for questions.
Just facing this team again, you and Willie Maxwell, coach there, and obviously the experience with him in 21. What's kind of the vibe around the team, just with not just any playoff opponent, or are they treating it almost like another playoff?
Well, I think you're happy you're 1-16. And however the bracket plays out, It just so happens that North Dakota State's coming here second round, and I think what you get is a team that fully understands what type of program is coming here. We played a team like William and Mary last year in the quarterfinals, where you just don't know. We've opened up in the second round against Tennessee Martin a few years ago, and you just don't know. I think we clearly know what North Dakota State's been about, and it has continued to be for a long, long time. So they got our absolute attention, and I think there's schematic similarities, which I think works in both teams' favors as far as how you can practice and the carryover from fall camp and spring ball and all that. So we need to continue the preparation that we've had, and put our guys in the best position to play well on Saturday.
Do you think the Weber game last year, a similar team that was almost seeded and a good team coming in here, did that inform this game at all?
Well, I think a little bit different scenario, as we had just played them in all that, a conference foe. But I think to have familiarity with a program, with a team, is certainly different than not. Whether there's an advantage one way or the other, I don't know that that's the case. All the teams should be good at this rate. When you're 1-16, and I don't know, North Dakota State's really playing well right now.
Last couple off season, we talked about closing the gap with South Dakota State. North Dakota State obviously played the Jacks earlier this year. It's going into this NDSU matchup. How do you feel about how you guys, you close that gap against?
Well, I think that Saturday back in September, we did go to Brookings. I think we had closed it, and I think we played really physical that day. I would say in the conference season, we didn't maybe play in a couple games as physical as that day. So here's another test. I think that's the biggest thing. We know that the brand of football that's gotten them to this point and all the success is grounded on being a physical team, being able to run the football and being able to stop the run. So, I see it as another measure. So another challenge for our guys. And, we need to be able to rise up to that challenge. In our lines of scrimmage, we're relatively healthy for this time of year. And, we should be able to give it, our best shot to do so.
What's it gonna take to get to a quicker start offensively?
Yeah, I think this time of year, create momentum is a big part of having success. In our two losses in conference, we didn't get going right away. In several of our other games, we did get going right away. So, I think starting fast is about coming out confident, making some plays early, certainly staying on the field on third downs, getting yourself in, those makeable third down situations. And again, understanding that, if we don't score our first drive, the game isn't over, and if they go up on us, we got to be able to respond. So, I think it's our success is not dependent on, the fast start, but I know it certainly helps. And we're going to put together a great plan to get off the start we need. And, that goes on both sides of football. It's not just about the offense starting fast. It's about the defense being able to hold serve at the beginning of the game too. And I'm sure they're looking at it the same way.
It seems that your team just truly has this home field advantage in Bobcat Stadium, just getting NDSU at home, the longest active Division I home game winning streak. What does it mean to have this game at home on Saturday?
Well, I think having home field in the playoffs is huge. I know NDSU is on the verge of the most wins in FCS playoff history, and they're 35-1 at home. So their home field has been critical to their success. And I know our recent run of those wins, it's playing in front of your fans. It's what the fans can do to alter the game. It's maybe as simple as sleeping in your own bed the night before the game. I think there's a lot of things that playing at home can help you. Now, it doesn't make the situation easy by any means. You still have a really good opponent coming in. So, yeah, we're glad we get this opportunity again to have a home playoff game, and we got to make the most of what our fans, come out to watch us, and support us. They've been so great for us, and they've been so impactful in those games, and we need that again. And obviously we need to do everything we can as a team to stir them up as this game goes along.
You guys have faced several dual threat quarterbacks this season. Cam Miller, another one. He's a doing rushing, top passer. Everybody seems to want them.
He's continued to get better. The version that we saw in 21 was effective. And they had a lot of weapons. What's happened, I think, in the 2 years is he's become their best player on offense, and really efficient passer, really accurate. Can make the plays with his feet when the pass isn't there. And then in the quarterback run game, between him and Peyton, they're getting a lot of mileage out of both those guys. So, a steady improvement by him, going from, I would say more of a game manager in 21 to now. I think he's clearly, he makes it go for them.
I mentioned some of the weapons. Obviously, Don Christian Watson there, but I guess what have you kind of seen from their current weapons?
Well, I think it's evolved as the season's gone along. I think their receiving core, Mathis, Green, Nelson in particular, they're making plays in all different ways, and they're completing football at a high rate. So those guys are obviously catching it on the other end, and they're all a little bit different. Mathis has the tremendous size. And then, I think both the other guys are very versatile as what they can do, both, getting the ball in the backfield, jet sweeps, and certainly down the field. Running back, it appears that they've gone to more of a by committee mode. And all guys that in their own right are very capable. And then the quarterback piece is, both those guys are very dangerous. And, it continues to start with their ability to block people up front and be physical and be, very athletic at the same time.
And defensively, it feels like Wisniewski is just making plays all over to build that safety spot. So I guess what do you see from that side of the ball?
Yeah. Moving him to strong safety, I think, it was a bold move because he's a really good linebacker, I guess, and is putting your people in the right place so you can get the best guys out there. I'm sure drove that, but I know Cole is an extremely intelligent young man, and that's what shows up. That there's not a lot of wasted time, wasted motion. He's in the right place at the right time. He can play close to the line of scrimmage, or he can get close to the line of scrimmage to make plays. Quite often, and at the flip side, he can cover, and they can just be very versatile with what they ask him to do. So, I think it's apparent he's their best defender, big rangy safety like that. That they can really stress that position both in the run game and the pass game.
Any just thoughts on why? 3 losses is pretty uncharted territory for them. Have you seen anything that any reasons for why they are a little down this year?
Well, 3 losses hasn't happened in a long time. I was there when the last time 3 losses happened, I think. You know what? I think in that North Dakota game, special teams turnovers, I think were part of that. I think in the South Dakota State game, which was the most recent, I think turnovers played a pretty big factor. In the South Dakota game, I think South Dakota got up, and I think at that time it was the first conference game, I believe, and South Dakota probably didn't have the respect that they now have. I think South Dakota's defense in particular, and what they're giving up per game has been very impressive, and they did just enough offensively to make some really big plays early in that game and take the lead. So, they're all 3 were maybe a little bit different. Obviously, all 3 to playoff teams. 2 to the 1 seed and the South Dakota's 3 seed, I guess. So, I think they've worked through some things, though. And obviously, they had to put a string of wins together to finish against teams that were playing for their playoff lives at the same time. So, their conference, like ours, I think has a bunch of capable teams. And if you give another team the advantage in the special teams, if you give another team the advantage in the turnover margin, you're gonna find yourself on the wrong side.
The last time MSU was hosted NDSU, you were the OC, and that game seems pretty crazy. It was 28 points for them, I think, in the last 13 minutes or so. What do you just remember from that game overall?
Well, that was the start. We snuck into the playoffs that year, and came out and played against a really good Bobcat team. And what I remember about that day, it was really cold, and it was a really raucous crowd, and that thought never left me. And then I think as this job came open, that day had a lot of impression on what the crowd could do here. And the stadium wasn't as big then. The Sonny Holland zone was I think built the next year, but it was a really good team. And ultimately in that fourth quarter, it became about turnovers, and it became about who could run the ball better. And that's how that thing blew up like it did. But it was a tightly contested game. They took the lead. Montana State, who's they and who's we, huh? Montana State took the lead at the beginning of the fourth quarter, and then the score was not indicative of how tight that game was that day.
Any injury updates?
Yeah, we're I put Danny played that game, Missoula, so he's back. I think Trayton continues to make progress. He played in that game, but was by no means 100%. Derek's continues to be on the mend, but isn't available yet this week. But at least he's transitioned to be off his scooter, I guess. So he's making progress. Otherwise, I think for this time of year, I do think we're really healthy. I think getting Drew back at the free safety position was big. To continue to get him moving forward. So I think given we're game 12, we're going to be playing here in December. I think our health is pretty good.
I guess just you mentioned Wisniewski on the back end, but I guess their defensive front, especially those linebackers, I think Kopp is one of their leaders in TFL.
Yeah. Yeah. So up front, Mostart, he's a force. He's been a force for quite some time. And Hendricks, I did one of the defensive ends, another all conference type of player. Linebacking core is led by Kopp, who is the youngest in that bunch. I think no different than what I've seen over the years. You play a lot of guys. Those guys are hungry when they go out there. They play really disciplined. They know their jobs. They do their jobs. And then linebacker wise, those guys need to make plays, and Kopp is certainly led the charge there. So, our offensive line from a physicality perspective, has to be ready for a dogfight. Has to be ready for a dogfight, and has to be ready for that next wave of guys to come in. They're going to play 8 guys for those 4 positions. Not as much rotation at the linebacker position, but a little bit, and everything we can to get up to that second level and not allow those backers, those safeties to be free hitters. We want to be able to do.
Have you or a loved one been charged or accused of a crime? If so, the stress can leave anyone feeling helpless and alone. But you don't have to be alone. Hi, I'm Dave Maldonado, and I've successfully defended Montanans for over a decade in these situations. So if you're tired of being scared, let's get you prepared. To see how, visit BigSkyDefender.com today.
You are not alone. Visit BigSkyDefender.com to find out more on how you can fight back against local and federal criminal charges.
Do you think there will be any adjustments with the quarterback, or just going back to maybe previous game plans with that position? Or?
Yeah, I think we certainly want to be able to utilize both guys. I mean, I think Tommy and Sean are 2 of our best football players, and we've talked about flow sometimes dictates it. I think looking back at the game in Missoula, situationally, it's easy to look at hindsight and say, well, the short yardage plays are maybe some of the times that Sean naturally would have gotten out there and maybe should have. I think that's the place you start. So it's not so much taking the ball out of Tommy's hands. There's maybe a few of those opportunities that we didn't convert in some short yardage opportunities. And then where does it go from there? I've talked about that before. I mean, you get Sean out there and he converts a 3rd down, and then what's next out of that is a lot of the way that can go. And I think, yeah, we got to look at every which way we can to move the football, and having them both be part of that has served us best when they're both healthy, and that hasn't always been the case. But I think we're in a pretty good place with them right now.
Colter Nuanez, any questions?
Yeah, hello, Coach. Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Few from me. First of all, North Dakota State has had such an intimidation factor because of all their success. How do you avoid that for your team?
Well, I think, like anything, I think there's a respect that naturally comes from all their success. I know we're a season removed from the last time we played them, but obviously that game in Frisco did not go our way. But you recognize, I think, how far that a lot of our individuals have come since then, and I think you look at it as a great opportunity versus the flip side of how in the heck we're going to do this. I think you got to the optimism versus the pessimism when it comes down to that, and just look, see it for what it's worth. I mean, we got a really good program, a really good football team with great tradition, a bunch of guys on this team that have been part of so much success. You know what? This is the type of challenge that is in front of us, and this is, we need to go after it. I guess is the biggest thing, and I think that fine line between what that means to you mentally. I think shoot, you respect him, but at the same time, you know what, we got to go after this one and hold nothing back.
We've talked all season just about your team's cumulative focus and all the lofty goals that you had. How do you sort of get back to that going into the playoffs now?
Yeah, I think the previous Monday, so last Monday, a week ago, I think you acknowledge that we certainly left some things out there, but in the playoffs, everybody's got a crack at it. You get seeded, you get placed, all that stuff, but everybody now, there's 16 teams left, have a crack at it, and entirely having a reset, so to speak, whether you're coming off a big win to close the season like we did last year, or a loss like 21 in this year, and just say, hey guys, okay, let's do everything we can to reset in this bye week, which we're fortunate to have, and just put ourselves in the best position, no matter who the opponent's going to be, to play our very best in December. And make it about what's in front of you versus what's been behind you, and certainly learn from the season. The wins, which there was 8 of them, and the losses, which there was 3, and do everything we can to keep this team moving forward.
North Dakota State, one thing they've always had is looking so consistently the same in all of their strengths. How does this team look the same as North Dakota State teams in the past? And maybe how does it look differently?
Well, I think as of late, for sure, they found a lot of different ways to spread the ball around, and that I think good teams recognize who their weapons are, and maybe that looks a little bit different with this outfit, but that's the same mentality I think that North Dakota State has had. You're going to have playmakers. That might be quarterback, run game. It might be the tight ends. It might be receivers. It might be a really good running back or a host of running backs. But within the grand scheme of things, we're going to have this O-line that's going to be able to do some things extremely well, and we're going to allow that to happen. But at the same time, allow these playmakers to sort out. And I think that's what's happened over this last stretch of the season. So how it's getting done is, maybe a little bit different at the surface, but it's so much of the same schemes, and that O-line just being able to do their thing. And defensively, I think, again, trying to find themselves, know their strengths, I think has continued to just be a big part of it. Certainly, as of late in particular, there's been a little bend, but no break to that defense. Continuing to get pressure on the quarterback has really shown up. So different hosts of characters, I suppose. But I do think through the course of the season, we played Eastern Washington, so you see them a few weeks back when we were preparing for Eastern, how they looked maybe in that first game to how they have looked these last couple of weeks. I do see a team that's really evolved.
2 more for me. One, you mentioned just the running backs by committee and them just spreading the ball around. How much of an impact has the quarterback run game and the fact they have 2 quarterbacks? How much is that to sort of diversify North Dakota State's offense?
Well, I think, it's like we want to be. If those 2 are your better runners, you want to give them the capability. You want to, they're different styles. I think, the runs they will run with Miller, and then what that does to your defense when he's playing quarterback versus when Peyton's in there. He's a big, strong sucker that just gets downhill in a hurry. And then what else they can do when he's out there. I think that stretches with all the things you have to defend. They've used their receivers more and more in the run game. Nelson in particular, as the season's gone along, and that too is, diversified them. They use more personnel groupings than anyone that we see. And, that keeps defenses off your scent, so to speak, when you're, rolling out with so many different, just individual groupings between your receivers, your tight ends, your running backs, multiple quarterbacks, all that stuff. So I think it just, at the end of it, you have a lot to defend. Obviously they can only do so much within the context of a game, but going into it and you got 12 games to look at. There's a lot there on the table to prepare for and have our guys ready to, be able to defend come Saturday.
At Blackfoot Communications, our mission is to connect people, businesses, and communities, bringing a world-class fiber network to homes, communities, and businesses of all sizes. Ensures Montanans have access to fast, reliable, and secure internet and phone services. Are you ready for fiber internet? To find out if fiber is coming to your area, visit goblackfoot.com/readyforfiber. Connect to more with Blackfoot Communications.
Thanks, Coach.
Sounds good.
Eric Peterson, do you have anything?
Yeah, Coach, just describe, Tommy Malott got a chance to play against NDSU in the championship game, obviously a short time, but how has he evolved since then? And what do you like about, the way he's playing heading into this game?
Yeah, 21, that was that 3 and change, just burst onto the scene. I'd been playing special teams and receiver and some wildcat quarterback up to that point. But, the version of Tommy that season, was bare bones. Go out there and be as athletic as you can, throw it at the Lance McCutcheon, here and there, and just try to make as many plays in that regard. And I think last year continued to develop into a much more complete quarterback. All that being said, the athleticism piece is still, his greatest strength. He's extremely intelligent. He's a extremely competitive young man. And along with that, just, I think you learn how to play the position more and more. You learn what you like and you don't like. You're able to share that with your offensive play caller, and really hone in on, on his strengths. And, so I think there's been a significant evolution. I know, we're going to need him to really play well come Saturday and be a guy that can make plays with both his arm and his legs.
Does this week still have a special feel for you, or is it you've been at Montana State long enough where your family ties to North Dakota and just playing and coaching ties to North Dakota State are just kind of something of the past now?
Well, it's been near 10 years, and at the same time, that's where Molly and I both went to school. That's where our family began. All 3 boys were born there. So yeah, I mean, there's always that piece of you that's where this all began. But being here now 3 seasons, this is home, and we've poured ourselves into this program and wanting to take it as far as it possibly can. And that being said, having North Dakota State in our path is part of the way this thing works. They're going to be there, and we hope that we're there come this time of year. And excited that we get to see this game in Bozeman this year, and excited for the opportunity to certainly see some old friends, colleagues that are still wearing the green and gold, and at the same time go and compete against them.
Thank you.
Jeff Kolpak, anything?
Yeah. Hey, Viggs, where's your program gotten better, whether it's facilities, staffing on the field? Where's it gotten better since you've been there?
Well, we moved into our facility on my first fall. That the building was already very much in motion. So that's helped immensely, having our guys in one facility from a day-to-day perspective, whether it's training room, nutrition, strength training, I think has been a huge jolt to this program. I think in the weight room, the facility is one thing, but our strength coach Sean Herron's done a tremendous job, and he'd been hired just the December before I got hired in February. So I know we've continued to make gains with how we go about our off-season training. At this level, at the FCS level, development is the key. Certainly recruiting on the front end of that development is is right there, but development is so important. And I think we've been able to make some significant gains, you know, in the weight room, nutrition wise, you know, so we have a bigger, stronger, faster version of the Bobcats. So, you know, we've been very fortunate to win a lot of games in this stretch, and you know, at the same time, you know, we're still chasing that ultimate prize, and you know, we're in this mix of 16 left, and you know, we want to find a way to survive and advance.
Last question, looking at the FCS as a whole, what do you make of the shift from east to west in power? You know, how's that happening?
Well, I think the first, you know, obvious answer is the removal of, or the exodus of so many good programs. I think that's where I would start. The App States, Georgia Southerns, James Madison, Old Dominion, you know, that were so tough to get past, you know, thinking back, you know, 8, 9, 10 years ago. And at the same time, I look at the efforts, the resources being put in the Big Sky, and I think that's changed in the last 10 years as well. You know, you have to be invested to make the league deeper, to make the competition better as the season goes along. And I think there's been a real effort league wide to raise the bar. I know it's something that when we get together as head coaches, you know, our leadership within the conference talks about that. You know, you got to go back to 2010 for a Big Sky team to have won a national championship. So I think there's, you know, a couple of things. I think the exodus of some of those really good programs in the South and the East, and then you know, I think at least from our conference perspective, I think there's been a real effort to raise the bar.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else in the room? All right.
Do you have a DUI or misdemeanor conviction? If so, don't let your past hold you back. Hi, I'm attorney Dave Maldonado, and you may be eligible to have your record cleared today. Visit BigSkyDefender.com to see how.